Inanimate objects, motorcycles included, can be so infuriating that you want to scream, if only to bring a little emotional relief. Beating them with spanners may do the same, but it has unwelcome consequences. Better just to shut the shed, walk away, and give both of you time to cool off. We are well into the new year, and the Panther outfit hasn't just cooled off, it's practically frozen. Without a single ride in almost a year, I find that I miss the ways of this unique three-wheeled transport. Out on a solo again, I crave the lurch and yaw of a sidecar as I round a bumpy clock spring bend, and want to experience again that unique rumble and clatter thrown back from the panel work. I miss the arm and shoulder exercises too, the bemused glances of car drivers, and the luxury of riding with co-pilot and navigator at my shoulder. Last year, you may remember, along with those exercises to improve upper body strength, we did a lot of leg exercises. I tickled and kicked, and the Panther was silent. I muttered at it, and the Panther was dumb. I penciled the plug and kicked, changed the magneto with one from a known good starter, checked and reset ignition timing, and kicked. I replaced the original monoblock carburetor with a concentric, fitted a hotter plug, re-gapped and cleaned the contact breaker points, and kicked and kicked and screamed. Sometimes, just to keep me guessing, the Panther would fire first time, and we did what we had intended in the first place, went for a ride. Or it started hot but not cold, or cold but not hot. And every time it ran beautifully, so that after a few miles I stopped and checked the plug colour, and wondered if perhaps it was a touch rich or a touch oily, and I put the plug back into that sweet running engine and kicked and kicked and wished I'd never stopped. So here we are with the new enthusiasm which time brings, giving the concentric carburetor a clean and dropping the main jet size to a 240 to see if I can at least gain a sense of leverage over the problem. A starting point to lead us back to those days when a first or second kick-start was the norm. Recommended main jets vary from 170 for a 600 in the 1930s to 280 for the 650cc Model 120 from the late 1950s on. This mongrel Panther, with a Model 100 crank and Model 120 bore, falls in between. Privately I call it a Model 110. On the basis of that golden rule, only change one variable at a time, I'm not going to alter the needle position. The only other change I make was suggested by a friend who asked if I'd tried reducing the plug gap. Recommendations vary, but a rule of thumb I've always used is 25 thousandths of an inch for coil and 18 for magneto ignition engines, such as this. So by way of experiment here, I've dropped the gap to 12 thou. I know that if starting improves that will only add to the confusion, but I've done it anyway. This Amel concentric is barely worn, but I have a backup plan for that too, with a brand new wassail and a set of jets standing by. I can't fit the outfit into my workshop today, and the carport is fully booked, but it's a pleasant afternoon. With the carburetor reassembled, I am putting throttle cable to twist grip when I'm reminded of the old days when I spanned bikes on a concrete path at the back of our rented house.
Is it raining? I hadn't noticed.
Never mind. We'll roll round to the shed and test our handiwork in the dry. Obviously, changing the main jet can't have any effect on starting. We both know that. So if it starts, it must either be that reduction in plug gap or some other random cause. Do you sense my desperation? Count the kicks with me. A couple to free off the clutch, several on the decompressor to unstick the piston and draw in fuel. Engage the half compression lever. A tickle under there. Put in gear to rock free the kick start. Kick 4 times. Fiddle with advance lever. Tickle again. The 5th kick start is something of a shock. Recovered, I apply a few more revs, retard to a steady tick over, cut, turn off fuel and go in for tea without risking another start. Thereby my sense of having made progress is preserved until tomorrow, when I will have built up some resilience to disappointment. It's the day of our local Vintage and Classic Motorcycle Club's Summer Saunter, and a very appropriate day at that.
Now I've got to right. Fuel on to go.
The Panther makes a promising start and seems to be running well. At the meeting point we catch up with fellow riders and the progress on their projects.
Hey, the aerial's running again. Good morning. How many miles since the rebuild?
About 10.
Oh, looking hopeful. The show.
I noticed the pipes are blowing a little bit.
All right. Have we changed the carburation? Or?
Well, I have actually. But
Right.
also the timings are. It's a
Yes.
bloody lottery with these things.
Yeah.
I got 2 books, and I was doing it to the one book, and I couldn't get the timing right. And I thought, I'll look at the other book, which is the original 1949
Yeah.
1 and 6 thing.
Yeah.
Set it up to that, and it ran straight away.
Okay.
In the excitement of another first kick-start, I forget to switch on the camera for a mile or two. There we go. My navigator's instructions come reliably through the headphones as we meander across country into Rutland.
2.8 miles, straight ahead, Whittam on the Hill. Straight ahead. .3 miles, right at a T, Castle Bide. Turn right. Oh, 0.4 miles. Left at a T, Castle by them. Left. .5 miles. Right it across to Swayfield.
They call it muscle memory, which is nonsense, of course. What muscles remember is the maltreatment of previous days, not how to haul the handlebars of an outfit as if it was a sailing boat's tiller. This is quite the opposite of the action required when cornering a solo, where without thinking we turn away from the bend to set up a lean into it. Don't for goodness sake think about that when you're riding though, or you may fall off. That'll give your muscles something to remember. It's hard now to put myself in the position of one whose first sidecar outfit was delivered to him because the seller wouldn't allow this young solo rider to take a first three-wheel ride on city roads. I still recall my surprise later that day, letting in the clutch and finding the sidecar mounting the curb. How hard won that new skill then, and how automatic the necessary counter steer is now. Yes, I've heard the argument that it makes no mechanical sense to apply effort to one corner of a heavy triangle's base in an attempt to push it along apex first. But no one told me that in 1972, and within a year it was too late.
Right. 6.2 miles, left at a T, no signpost. Left. Oh, 0.9 miles, turn right to Oakham. Right. .3 miles, left at a T on the bend to Oakham.
Gary and Kay pass us on the Triumph. All the solo bikes now ahead, save one which sits doggedly on our tail.
Turn left. .2 miles. Straight ahead at a roundabout. Oakham.
After a left turn towards Oakham, I stop to change the camera battery. Our shadow pulls alongside on his Suzuki and introduces himself. Roger is an old friend of today's route setter, Martin, just along for the ride.
Changing my battery in here. Changing the battery in the camera. You've obviously heard the reputation of my navigator. She never gets us lost.
Not right. Useful. I'll follow you because I don't really know where I'm going.
No, that's fine. No problem. We picked up Gary and Kay for a bit there. I think they must have stopped for fuel. They went on then. Well, yeah, bit of puzzle. But I think I'm getting on top of it now. We'll find out in a moment. How many miles have we got to go?
Just over halfway.
Right. Excellent. I'm flashing now, aren't I?
Yep.
The Panther starts as it should with a single kick, and we ride on.
straight ahead, second exit. Oh, 0.7 miles, first exit at a roundabout, Oakham.
Approaching Oakham, we take the bypass, heading south towards Northamptonshire and our lunch venue.
First exit. Oh, 0.3 miles, second exit at a roundabout, Stamford. Second exit. Oh, 0.7 miles, second exit at the roundabout, Rutland Water. Second exit. Five 5.3 miles, second exit at the roundabout, Uppingham.
I should stop after one of these open stretches and check the plug, but I'm reluctant to spoil things. Then we get on a hilly section, riding into a headwind, and the Panther begins to struggle, distinctly down on power. There are vehicles snapping at our heels, and nowhere convenient to pull in as I drop down the gears until there are none left. Is this the consequence of that smaller jet as the engine works harder? At the top of a grinding incline, we pull into an entrance. I'm surprised to find the engine still ticks over.
Not at all happy. Not at all happy. I think
There is an apparent cultural mismatch between modern riders and those of us on the machines of days long gone. An involuntary stop, to use the official Bracebridge-Norton nomenclature, is as much part of a ride for us as is steady progress. We expect to pause for adjustments en route, where to a modern rider this is a glitch, an unfortunate stumble on his steady progress between A and B, the points of departure and arrival.
Sorry?
If I carry on?
No, carry on. No, we'll get there somehow. You're on home ground here.
I could have come straight to this place, but I was trying to do the right thing and follow the route.
Yeah. Most of it.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm not hopelessly lost.
That's quite acceptable, I'd have said.
So it's very acceptable.
Yeah.
Angie is relaxed in the uncertainties of panthering. In fact, it surprises me she hasn't hopped out of the sidecar to study the roadside flora while I fiddle. Maybe she's taking her task of co-pilot more seriously today. I remove the spark plug. Roger puts his bike on the stand and offers a second opinion on its colour. He says we are on a direct route towards our lunch stop. Angie dives into her phone to check our GPS position via Google Maps. Roger, warming to the minor entertainment, which is vintage and classic motorcycling, removes his helmet. Perhaps he is not really unfamiliar with this more gentle progress, and the memory of it is rekindled today. Once we all knew that it was better to travel hopefully than to arrive.
But I presume he hasn't said it's some miles to get it up to 40 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's taking you around by that viaduct now. Likes it around there.
Oh yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, okay.
It seems we need only skip a small detour to a favourite local feature, Seaton Viaduct, to put us within 6 miles of lunch.
Yeah, brilliant. All right. And so, well, you'll follow from that then, Angie. I'll just have a look at this oil. See, it's still got some in there. It's not been burning oil, has it? Not,
I checked the oil level, which is fine.
Yeah.
Roger says the exhaust has only produced the odd puff of smoke on changing gear.
Yeah.
But it's not smoking in the accepted sense of that.
No, that's fine.
Does it generally use a bit?
A bit.
Yeah.
Not. Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yes. Yeah.
6.1 miles.
Right.
Another first kickstart has the Panther running, and we ride the last miles together.
So it'll be straight on at this next.
Angie, uncomfortable in her helmet and intercom after a couple of hours, shouts the last directions. We pull in at the Barn Tea Room, Rockingham, to debrief and enjoy a nourishing carrot and coriander soup. Yes, power is noticeably down, maybe the result of that smaller jet, even if it doesn't show on the plug. But starting has improved 100%. Future experiments with carburetors and jets will be a lot easier with an engine which starts at my whim.